This past Sunday, we had the opportunity to introduce all of you to our new discipleship pathway here at Impact Church. We're really excited about it because it gives us such a great visual and an understanding of what it means to be a disciple that lives like Jesus and loves like Jesus, which just so happens to be our mission statement as a church. We unpacked the first one this past Sunday, and I actually want to just add a thought to it, if I could, a thought that I've been marinating on all week long this week. And so just as a friendly reminder, connect is our first thought. And we're talking about connect in the sense of God designed us to live in a Christian community because we are better together. We are church. We are better together. And so connection, or if I could throw a different word on it, community is vital for our life as a follower of Christ in our pursuit of becoming a disciple of Christ that follows him with our whole heart. Connection is so important. We talked quite a bit about it on Sunday, but I want to just kind of dive into a couple of different thoughts. First of all, I want you to know we've created a number of on-ramps for connection here at Impact Church, whether it be Sunday morning services, which I think is really important. It's almost like every week we have a family reunion. Whether it's Newcomers Connection, which we have one coming up on February 2nd, just a great way to connect to the church and understand who we are. Another great connection point is Launch. This is a great small group for anyone in the church to find out about who we are, our core values, our core teaching, plus we get to do it with you, so we love that. There's many other ways, such as small groups, which are starting up again in February, as well as community connections. A great example of our community connections that we do often is our family feasts. It's a great way just to have a potluck lunch at someone's house after church and get to know some people, hear their stories, and to hear their testimony. It's just a great way to find a point of connection. All of those things that I've just mentioned are important events or gatherings, and they're points of contact or points of connection. That's important. But just because there's a point of connection doesn't mean it always leads to deep community. And so there's got to be a process to that. And that's kind of what I want to hone in on today. About a year and a half ago or so, I actually did a message series on community and on kind of church family. And I kind of developed a thought that I wanted to just reshare with you guys today, just to remind you of the 4 different types of community that you can experience at Impact each and every month, okay? The first one is what we call public community. That could be our weekend services. That's our Newcomers Connection. That could be an outreach. But this is church initiated. In other words, we are initiating that pathway or that on-ramp to a connection point. The second is what we call social community. It could be Launch, our small groups, joining a serve team, our family feasts, our community connections, or a number of different things. And again, this is also church initiated. Those public community connections are when you, in a sense, just connect to the church in some event. The social community is what develops out of those events. But it leads to the third thing, which is personal community. These are relationships that transcend church events and functions. This is individual initiated. The reality is, at the end of the day, while we as a church want everyone to have a close personal connection with people, we can't make that happen. The initiation of that happens with you. We create on-ramps, but you create the deep connections. The fourth one is intimate community. These are authentic, lifelong covenant relationships that are formed in churches over time. And again, this is individual initiated. Again, we can create the potential on-ramps for certain events and some connection points, but it's up to you to develop that process, to go from public to social to personal and to intimate. So a question I have for you tonight is simply this: where are you on this diagram? Are you at the first point, the second, third, fourth? Where's your heart's desire? Maybe you've been growing in this way and you just want to see a deeper level of connection and community this year. I want to encourage you, have faith for it. God's desire is that you experience that. My prayer for all of us, including myself, is that we would move and grow and develop on that diagram and in that journey of community and connection. God's desired is for it because it's a part of our church DNA, but it's also a part of your DNA as a follower of Christ. I shared this past Monday night in our prayer meeting, but when I was a kid, I grew up on these things called Connect the Dot books. I love them. And the way it works, for those that aren't familiar with it, is you had, say, a number from 1 to about 80 that you would have to connect from 1 to 2, then 2 to 3, then 3 to 4, then 4 to 5, and so on and so forth, until you got to the end. And when you drew all those lines together, it would actually form a picture that you can then color in. And I believe with all my heart that God has connect the dot people for each and every one of us. So I want to encourage you, church, this year, have the faith to find your connect the dot people. God desires that you'd find them because He knows what a blessing it'll be in your life. Maybe you've come through a hurt before. Maybe you've come through a relational disconnect before and you didn't know what to do with that. I want to encourage you, church, no matter where you've come from, have the faith and the courage to step out in faith and connect in a different way this year, in a different level this year. I know it's so important because God's designed us for it. He's designed us to fit into community. Listen, I'm so excited about this Sunday. Sandra is going to be introducing our next thought in this discipleship pathway called Grow. You do not want to miss it. We'll see you Sunday.